week 3 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to sell and trade this week. The first hitter, Marcel Ozuna of the Atlanta Braves. So Marcel Ozuna, last season, what a year it was for him, no doubt about it. 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, a 274 average, and so far this season he's off to a white-hot start, 7 home runs, 22 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 365 average, and a 412 on base. I know Ozuna is definitely a legit hitter, but the pace he's on right now is out of control for Marcel Ozuna, and obviously he's in the lineup where there's a lot of great hitters with him. Ozzy Albies, Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris, Matt Olson, Austin Riley. So right now he's getting a lot of good pitches to hit. He's hitting fifth in this lineup, protecting Matt Olson, and he's really driving the ball and putting up a lot of numbers in the early going. April 12th at Miami, 3 for 4, homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. April 13th at Miami, 1 for 4, an RBI. April 14th at Miami, 3 for 5, a homer, 4 RBIs. And April 15th at Houston, 1 for 4 with an RBI. So right now, tearing the cover off the ball here is Marcel Ozuna. 6 RBIs in the last 3 games. He's getting a lot of good pitches to hit. Last year, like I said, was a monster year for him. But I just feel like this batting average is going to drop off significantly over the next few weeks here for Ozuna, where he's not going to keep it up at this pace. So right now, while he's the best hitter, in my opinion, in terms of stats and stuff in fantasy baseball, he's a sell-high candidate. I'm not saying dump these guys just for anything, but if you could get a pitcher and another hitter in this deal for Ozuna, you do it this week. The next hitter, Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles. So Colton Cowser, one of the top prospects in the Orioles system over the last few seasons. And last year, he did come up in the majors for a cup of coffee, 61 at-bats. And already this year, he's totally turned things around with a monster start, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 395 average, and a 429 on base. So this Baltimore team, they're just loaded everywhere, it seems like, with young players and top prospects in the major leagues. We know Jackson Holiday got called up a few days ago. We know Jordan Westburg, he's been great after he had a cup of coffee in the majors as well last season. And now Cowser, he's been on some type of run as well. April 11th in Boston, 3 for 5, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. April 12th versus the Brewers, 2 for 3, a homer and RBI. April 13th versus the Brewers, 1 for 4, a run, a stolen base. April 14th versus the Brewers, 1 for 3 with a homer and RBI. And April 15th versus the Twins, 0 for 4 in that one. So Cowser showing some pop. He's not that much known for his power, more of a speed guy and someone who's going to score a lot of runs. So right now, while Colton Cowser is off to a hot start and tearing the cover off the ball, he's a perfect sell-high candidate. Because like I said, I know he's got the 4 home runs in 38 at-bats, but it's not going to keep up at this pace. And last season, he really struggled in the small sample size we saw from him. So right now, while he's white-hot and one of the best hitters as well to start the year in fantasy baseball, he's a perfect sell-high candidate. Because when guys get off to these monster starts, hitting 350, 400 in the first few weeks of the year, there's nowhere to go but down from there. So right now, he's a sell high this week. The next hitter, Michael Busch of the Chicago Cubs, one of the top prospects in baseball the last few seasons in the Dodgers system, but they really had nowhere to put him with Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, and Mookie Betts as their infielders. But so far with the Cubs, what a start it's been, including 5 games in a row with a home run for Michael Busch, 6 home runs on the year, 12 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a 327 average, and a 410 on base. And Michael Busch, great versatility, first and third base. And he's been the pickup of the week. So if you could pick up a player like Michael Busch and then flip him in a deal for a pitcher or someone who's a hitter that's had more consistency and a track record throughout his career, this is the perfect time. Well, he's at peak value. Like I said, 5 games in a row with a home run for Busch. April 10th at San Diego, 1 for 2, a homer, 2 RBIs. April 12th at the Mariners, 2 for 4, a homer and RBI. April 13th at Seattle, 2 for 4, a homer and RBI. April 14th at Seattle, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. And April 15th at the Diamondbacks, 1 for 3 with a homer and RBI in that one. So Michael Busch playing great baseball, no doubt about it. One of the best hitters in fantasy and just showing crazy power. Obviously, we're 5 games in a row with a home run. And we'll see if he can keep the streak up here tonight at the Arizona Diamondbacks. But anyway, like I mentioned, Michael Busch, he's not going to stay on this pace. And right now, while he's the hottest hitter in baseball, he's a perfect sell-high candidate. And like I said, you could get someone with more consistency. Or if you need starting pitcher and you picked up Michael Busch and you're hurting at the pitching position early in the season with the injuries and just a lot of guys struggling, he's a perfect sell-high. In that case, is Busch this week. The next hitter, William Contreras on the Milwaukee Brewers. So William Contreras, he's always been a professional hitter, one of the better average hitters at the catching position as well. But another guy who's off to a white-hot start, 4 home runs, 15 RBI, 16 runs scored, a stolen base, a 390 average, and a 470 on base. So he actually has great value to sell him high this week. He's a catcher, one of the weakest positions in fantasy baseball, no doubt about it, is the position. And Contreras is tearing the cover off the ball and playing great baseball. And he's just been a hit machine in the early going. April 12th at Baltimore, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. April 13th at the O's, 2 for 4, 3 runs and RBI. April 14th at the O's, 2 for 4, a homer, and RBI, a stolen base. And April 15th versus the Padres, 2 for 3. So like I said, he's just been a hit machine 3 games in a row with multiple hit games is William Contreras. But like I said, when these hitters are hitting 350, 400, there's nowhere but down. So right now, well, he's ranked number 2 in head-to-head leagues. Here's William Contreras. He's a perfect sell-high candidate. And I'm not saying dump these guys for anything, but if you could get either 2 plays in the deal for some of these guys, or a player who's a stud fantasy player usually, but off to a slow start, this is the time to do it, to sell high early in the season, because I just don't see most of these guys keeping up these numbers, especially some of the batting average numbers, obviously, with the 350, 400, and even the power. So right now, while Contreras plays at a weak catcher position, I think the trade value is up even more, and he's a sell-high player this week. And the 5th and final hitter I'd look to sell and trade is Josh Naylor, the Cleveland Guardians. So Josh Naylor, last season was a good year for him, no doubt about it. 17 homers, 97 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, a 308 batting average. And so far this season, he's off to a great start. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 340 average, and a 431 on base. And there where he's been a hot and cold hitter over the last couple seasons, where there'll be weeks where he's tearing the cover off the ball and putting up big numbers, and then weeks where you don't see much out of Naylor. So right now, well, he's off to a hot start. Once again this season, he's a perfect sell-high hitter this week. April 9th versus the White Sox, 1 for 2, a homer, 2 RBIs. April 10th versus the White Sox, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. April 13th versus the Yankees, 2 for 5 with a homer and a doubleheader. April 14th versus the Yankees, 2 for 5, a run, 2 RBIs. And April 15th at the Red Sox, 1 for 4 with a run. So right now, where it seems like every game he's getting an RBI pretty much, or at least scoring a run. And no doubt about it, he's a great hitter, a professional hitter, cleanup hitter for this Guardian team. But this Guardian team, they don't have a lot of protection, in my opinion, in that lineup. Where pitchers, they're going to start pitching around there a little bit or be more careful. So right now, besides him and Jose Ramirez, like I said, I don't see many threats in that lineup where teams will be a little more cautious when they're, and I believe the numbers will drop. So while he's off to a great start, he's a perfect sell-high candidate. And first base is a position where it's one of the deeper positions in fantasy baseball as well, where you could find some guys even on the free agent waiver wire pool. So right now I would sell Naylor high this week. So that's a few hitters I look to sell and trade for week 3 of the fantasy baseball season.